playing the intro right now to the movie we're talking about today, X-Men Apocalypse. Apocalypse.
Apocalypse.
Apocalypse. Welcome
Apocalypse.
to Over a Couple of Drinks presents The Regulars. With us today, just me, I guess, not us, is our super special, well, I guess we call him a recurring guest now, our Grim Reaper, Eric Roman.
Yeah, except for nobody's died.
We had someone
This
fill in
time.
for you when we did a podcast and talked about Gene Wilder. Because you weren't available.
Yeah, it's true. I wasn't.
So, you're here
But-
now, and you're probably saying to yourself, Bill,
Yeah.
first of all, that Eric's border is way too big, so let's just adjust it right now. And also, you're saying, Bill, why are we talking about X-Men Apocalypse when that came out like months ago? Oh, fuck you, it's almost on a DVD. Or Blu-ray, or whatever it is. And two, we were going to do it when it came out, but Eric had shit going on, and I refused to do it without him. It's true. Because, like I said, I have friends who know experts in areas. Eric's my X-Men. So, Eric, what did you think of X-Men Apocalypse? Well, spoiler-free first. For the quick... What'd you think?
I give it a solid 4 out of 5. I had a really good time watching it. I went in with no internet preconceptions because I refused to listen to the sweaty fanboys. And I thought it has taken what Singer started in First Class and took it to the next level. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Yeah, very just as spoiler-free as I can get in that 30
Spoilers-free
seconds.
for me,
there.
I thought it was painfully okay. It was...
Okay.
We're
No,
gonna get
you're
into it,
entitled.
and this is
Okay.
honestly another main reason why I wanted you on, because I find too many times on our reviews that we have too many people who agree with one another, and we don't have real counterpoint. And the other one we were gonna do with this was Ghostbusters, because I had myself and a friend who hated it, and 2 friends who really loved it, and I really wanted to get into it.
I didn't go
Don't.
see it. I couldn't bring just the previews alone.
Just
Made-
don't. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of what I figured.
This and Ghostbusters was supposed to be like this kind of return to actual review form where we don't agree. And I won't say it's bad. I won't say it's good. It was just kind of okay, because my biggest frustration with it was, and we'll get into it, that there's a bunch of setups to what could be amazing storylines that just get cut off. And that frustrates me to no end, more than anything else, and what we get is kind of a okay movie. That was my take. So, jumping into spoilers. Where do you want to start?
I guess I can pick out the things I didn't like, because there were things I didn't enjoy. Yeah. And I guess the most obvious one is the whole Magneto's a good guy, we have to figure out how to turn him back into a bad guy thing.
Oh, you didn't like that?
I thought it was a little schmaltzy. I thought it was predictable.
That was one of the threads that I thought would have been a better movie.
That could have been. I would have liked it if it had been, because they never came out and said who the woman was. And if you've followed any of Magneto's backstory, it could have been Magda. It could have been Amelia.
I wanted Eric on because he knows the shit that I don't. Like I know what he's talking about, but I don't know enough to comment.
It could have been Gabriella, who was the chick that he and Xavier rehabbed after her horrific experiences in Auschwitz. So yeah, I felt like the whole, he's gonna try to have his normal life after the events of Days of Future Past, and well, we've got to get him somehow to team up with Apocalypse. So let's kill everyone he loves and remind him why he hates humans.
Yeah, and I can see how that's really bad, but to me it was like, ooh, this could be this really interesting story of a Magneto who just didn't care anymore. Because, before, it was like, I want to send a message. I want to do this. I want to do that. And here, especially when, after his wife and child are murdered, he has that great line or two in the iron mill, or wherever the fuck it was. What is it, a smelting plant?
Yeah,
where he goes,
something like that.
I hope you have loved ones too, so they can feel like you're lost or whatever. And he's just gonna murder, and I'm like, this is a great story. Just this fucking Magneto on a warpath, saying fuck everyone. And I'm like, that'd be a cool story to watch, you know?
And see, I agree with that. Just Magneto goes nihilist, you know. That would have been fun to watch.
Lots of fun to watch, of just fuck everything. And then it'd be like, oh shit, we need to stop Eric because he's lost his shit. And then like the X-Men are going to like contain him, not take him out, when you could also have like, say, someone who would actually be used properly, like, I don't know, the character of Psylocke being like a bounty hunter there to actually kill him, take him in, or, you know, whatever, and actually use that character properly. That's a point of contention that we'll get to probably.
Well, and you know, so X-Men Volume 1, Issue 1, 1960. They kind of hinted at the in First Class, the Cuban Missile launch thing that appeared in that first issue, and they kind of touched on there. But I think that would have given, you know, Beast, Jean Grey, Cyclops, Professor X, and Angel, and whatever.
Yeah,
you know, they could have hinted at that had they gone with that whole Eric's gonna just go out and fuck shit up because he's pissed and just doesn't give a shit anymore. So yeah, no, I totally agree with you that they could have.
There's so much stuff.
They could have expanded on it. I feel like that it was just kind of tacked in, and I didn't see. Like, I think Fassbender does an amazing job as Magneto.
They just don't give him anything.
I think. No, they don't. They don't really write. They don't really write for that character because I didn't see. Yeah, I didn't see the. I don't think I saw a clear enough snap.
I will. You know? I will say I liked the forethought into the scene, where all the cops show up and he's like, "You're not wearing badges," and they don't have any guns and they don't have any metal because they know who they're dealing with. I'm like, that's some smart writing, and I really like that he takes his wife's necklace and fucking murders them all brutally.
Yeah.
And that
was pretty awesome.
This is gonna be great. And then it went nowhere, which is basically the whole intro of this movie. A lot of cool concepts that don't go anywhere, which is very frustrating, which is part of my problem with this movie. Because I see why don't you get into more things that you don't like, and I'll go into my spiel if you don't touch on them.
You touched on it briefly. The woeful underuse of one of the best characters ever written, Miss Bessie Braddock / Psylocke.
Remember when they were talking about how awesome it's gonna be to have Psylocke and Olivia Munn's gonna be so good in it, which I didn't buy that for a minute, and I don't love her. But I was like, okay, she kind of looks the part. I'm all for it, kind of thing. And then they don't use her.
Looks wise, they nailed it. But yeah, I mean, the whole, like, part of the whole build-up to X-Men Apocalypse was Psylocke's gonna be in it. She's gonna be awesome. Da, 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 da. So she gets
2 lines?
Awesome scene where, you know, she does martial arts and she uses the psychic sword. They never hint at the fact that she's an Omega level telepath. They kind of hint at the fact that she can track mutants down, but that's as far as it goes. But yeah, and they never really address it. I thought, for me, that was the most disappointing part, because she's one of my favorite characters.
She's a lot of people's like sleeper favorite character kind of thing. Like, everyone's like, oh, I love Wolverine. Oh, I love, you know, Gambit, Magneto. I think everybody's like, no, Psylocke's a badass. Love her.
She is.
Oh, I mean, she
is.
She's a badass, but you know what I mean.
I mean, if you get into her story at all, and that's the thing. That's the thing that I think I was disappointed by, was they just kind of they schlepped her in, and they didn't bother to explain. You know, here she is. She's this character. Okay, cool. We're not going to explain her because we only have 2.5 hours to do this movie. So fuck it. We're going to do it.
She's like my shining example again of everything I hate about all of the X-Men movies. Take interesting character X and then kind of dumb them down because we need to throw him in there for no reason. I'm looking at you, Lady Deathstrike. I'm looking at you, Sabretooth. I'm looking at you, Juggernaut. Toad.
Juggernaut. Um, uh, uh, why can't I think of her name now? Morlocks, leader of the
Oh, yeah,
Morlocks.
yeah. Calypso?
Um,
No. Yeah, yeah.
Calypso. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yes,
Looking at
Calypso.
just about everyone ever.
Hmm.
Colossus, please. You know,
Hmm.
these
Hmm.
characters, and that's, I think somebody's, one reviewer said it, like, the most heartbreaking thing about all of the X-Men things is, like, you look at the comics and you look at how awesome and different and colorful all of their costumes are and all their unique powers and all their interesting backstories, and these
Hmm.
movies bastardize them and put them in black jumpsuits,
Yeah.
which we'll get into a
So,
good point at the very, very end. The very, very end, where I kind of
yeah,
went, "Oh, please start out the next movie that way," because like,
right. I think I know what
it's
you're.
the outfits. It's the
I think I know
outfits.
what you're hinting at.
Okay,
It's the
so what else don't
outfits.
you like?
So, yep. Okay. So,
Huge disappointment.
Psylocke, huge disappointment. Angel,
Another.
huge, huge disappointment because X Men: The Last Stand. He was so just kind of. Yeah,
He's
we need
another
him in
example.
there.
Fuck you, Angel.
Hmm. Yep. Fuck you, Angel. Not necessarily one of my favorite X Men characters. However,
He has a great arc.
um, he has a great arc, and he's a founding member of the original team, which they still haven't acknowledged. And when, that was another big part of the hype behind this movie was, hey, Archangel's going to be in it. We're going to see Archangel's origins. We're going to watch him go from Warren Worthington to Archangel, da 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 da. Now, how they cleverly updated him going from Angel
I
to Archangel, I thought, okay, it's not as dramatic or as heart
well, that's
wrenching.
this is another point where it
Because,
was. I
yeah.
like the idea of like, oh, mutants are kind of widely okay with everybody now. Like everyone's kind of okay with with
Hmm.
mutants, but there's still these
Yeah.
underground like fight clubs, and like, okay, I would love to see
Hmm.
how Warren, this supposed to be a real rich boy, kind of thrown out of his family,
Yeah.
ends up in a fucking mutant fight club. One
Yeah, how
and
did he end up
two,
there?
him like going into this dark spiral of his wing being like destroyed. I was like, show me more of
Hmm.
that. Give me more of that. But then after this great like PG-13 body horror moment where he becomes Archangel, which other
Yep.
than the wings, he looked really fucking bad. Um,
Hold on, I think this might be my pizza
all right.
delivery guy lost. So
Oh my
one
god.
sec.
Okay, so we're gonna
Sorry.
pause it real quick.
We're good.
All right, we're back. For Dinosaur Story.
Okay. Dinosaur story. Yes, I thought the dramatic transformation of Warren to Archangel and the damage to his psyche was sort of glossed over because, for those who don't know, his wings were horribly mutilated
Yeah, I
in the
don't
comic
remember
books.
what was the
And
fight about. Was it about the Murlocs? The Morlocks? I think
um,
it was a Morlock fight. He didn't take care of a wound; and it became infected, and then he had to
right,
go to the hospital where, like, an old.
he was
Oh
crucified
yeah,
in the
yeah,
Morlock tunnels, and both of his wings were broken. And yeah, it was an infection that set in, and the only way to save his life was to
yeah.
remove
They
the
amputated
wings.
him, but that sent him into a huge spiral of depression, which I thought they
Yep.
were going to
Hmm.
dive into with the whole idea of just being a drunkard, and I was like, woo. And then it didn't go anywhere.
Yep. It didn't go anywhere. So that was a point I didn't enjoy. Leads me to my next point of the woeful underuse of a character that the fans clamored to have back in the franchise because he was so awesome in X-Men 2. Nightcrawler.
Yeah, like, see, these are all the things that I thought made it just okay, like meh at bad, painfully meh, because like again,
Okay.
I didn't love X-Men 2. I wasn't one of the people who's like, ah, X-Men 2 is the greatest. I was like, no, it's kind of okay because I can see.
Well, that's how I felt about X-Men 2 because yeah, they in X-Men 2 they hinted at so many things that could
And
have
they
been
didn't do it.
cool that Ratner just kind of went,
Yeah, and that was part of my problem. And so it's like, no,
mm-hmm,
and I was like, but I really did like Nightcrawler. They nailed him perfectly.
mm-hmm,
So when they're gonna bring him
yep,
back, I'm like, yay! And other than his face makeup, everything else looked like shit. Like his hands looked terrible. His feet
mm-hmm.
looked terrible.
The feet look
That
terrible.
can be
the Michael Jackson leather throwback jacket. Like, I get it. It takes place in the 80s, and he's bad. Okay, now have you watched the deleted scene on the internet of him in the breakdance competition?
The breakdance competition. Was it pretty good? Okay.
Yep. Well, there was a part they didn't animate where he was supposed to be up on his tail spinning, but yeah, he does at the mall when Jubilee, Scott, Jean, and Nightcrawler go to the mall and they go see Return of the Jedi. Nice little shout out there, by the way. Apparently, there's a scene where Nightcrawler gets into a breakdance competition with a bunch of guys at the top of an escalator. So, seek it out. But yeah, I mean, okay, Nightcrawler will always be one of my favorite characters. Alan Cumming did an amazing job.
He fucking right out the gate nailed it. You know, perfect.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like they kind of overplayed. Oh, he's from Germany. He doesn't understand American culture. He doesn't get what's going on. He's sheltered. He's religious. Da 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 da. I thought they made the character really dumb. Yeah. Really dumb. Now, again, I thought the special effects, his teleportation effect, I thought all that was pretty cool. I mean, you know, considering we're X2, when did that come out? 2002, 2004.
Let's IMDb that real quick, because
I feel criminally unprepared.
Well, one was 2000 even, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I feel like it was like 2002 or 2003.
03. 03.
X2. 03.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, you know, the special effects from 03 to now.
But it didn't really change too much. Like, you know, you can't really perfect perfection, you know, anymore because they
and it was pretty damn perfect.
It was that subtle use of CG in the way that it was just like, and we make this character disappear, you know, and it was subtle, it was easy, and it wasn't like weirdly gapey, weird looking thing.
Right. And again, I feel like it was that thing of what Last Stand kind of went through, where they had 43 characters to fit into, you know, 2.5 hours. And unfortunately, Nightcrawler, Angel, Psylocke got the fuzzy end of the lollipop on this one.
Pretty much all of the Horsemen of the Apocalypse got woefully underused, including Storm.
And including Magneto and Storm.
Like, Storm was another thing where it's like, you have this great intro to this character, and I actually liked the idea of like, oh, she worships, you know, this whole idea that Mystique is now this huge tier hero, and she's like, I want to be like her, and Apocalypse uses that, and I'm like, this is interesting, this is great, and he enhances her power to become this goddess, and I'm like, this is great, and then it doesn't go anywhere.
Here's crap, I just had a thought and then a brain fart, and it's gone. And I don't know where it went.
It'll come back.
It'll come back to me. I thought that the young woman who played her, Alexandra Shipp, she looked the part. Yep. She sounded the part. They bothered in this one to kind of hint at her criminal hood past, and the fact that when she was younger, and she didn't know she had these phenomenal powers, she didn't rely on that all the time. You know, she was a street fighter, she was a thief, she was a pickpocket, yada, 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 yada. So again, they had a really good setup for who this character was. And then there was that moment toward the end where she and Xavier are out in the desert, and he's been crippled by Apocalypse, and Apocalypse is trying to use him, yada, yada, yada. And he looks over at her and goes, "You're not okay with this, are you?" It's toward the end of the movie. And you can actually see her
to twist and turn.
Start to kind of, she's like...
Well, that takes place during the whole big fight scene, too, where she just kind of... And I liked her a lot. She did great. I wish she was used more because of how good she was, because especially the part where all of a sudden Mystique shows up and Apocalypse is going to kill her, and that's kind of like this is definitely wrong. All of the signs have been staring in my face. I have been an idiot, and I'm like, thank you. Because,
thank you.
She was a highlight for me.
Well, which I hope they use. I hope they use as a springboard for whatever comes next.
if I don't know if you have any more negative, I wanted to talk about one positive thing because we've been dancing around them. But
no,
for
come on.
the first time in 16 years, I finally felt like we had a good Cyclops, like an actual.
And I was
actual
going to talk about that.
He was great. He had that like natural born leader where he didn't know what he was doing quite yet, but he was filling the role, and I liked it a lot. And I was like, "Thank you for giving me a non-douchey Cyclops." You know.
And I was going to say he towed the line between, because a big part of Cyclops' character is he's this introvert, this broody. When he was a kid, people picked on him and they feared him because of his power and yada yada yada, and that kind of turned him into that douchey Boy Scout that he became. But they were able in this film to show his fun side too.
They Steve Rogered him, all right. They gave him the good Chris Evans pullover where he's like, I'm a leader, but I'm so incredibly charming, and though like I've been picked on, I kind of use that for me, and I was like, thank you for giving me a fucking good Cyclops for the first time, And
I liked how another highlight for me, they sort of, first of all, they had Havoc acknowledge that he was his brother.
That was never gonna happen.
Hooray! Right. Havoc, I felt they sort of underused horribly in this movie. And then they left that ambiguous, is he dead? Is he not? Major spoiler alert here, but... Yeah, we're in spoiler, but really? I don't think he is.
You think?
No. How else are they going to do an X-Force movie?
Oh.
Or not X-Force. X-Force.
Oh.
I don't know. And they have to have that period of separation where Havoc thinks that Scott's dead and Scott thinks that Alex is dead. If they're gonna follow the comic book
which they
continuity.
haven't. That'd be good. And I mean, from where he was in First Class, I was really upset at how underused he was used in Days of Future Past. And it was just another kick in the shins for him to be the same kind of role in this one. And I was like, really? Fuck you guys. Seriously, at this point, fuck you guys.
Again, we have too many mutants and not enough
and
time.
And can we talk about how Jennifer Lawrence didn't want to be there?
And you could tell throughout the entire movie that, okay, since Jennifer Lawrence appeared in First Class, she has become this huge star. And I like Jennifer Lawrence. I think she's a hilarious human, great actress.
I like her.
But she made it very clear that this was going to be her final appearance in an X-Men movie. And I feel like it kind of reflected in her performance throughout the entire thing. That in her eyes, she was kind of looking over the top of the script at her next project.
You could have at least shown up, It's like she didn't try, and you could see because she was not in Mystique makeup at all. And when she was, again, it wasn't up to par. And so, what's his face? I don't remember her ex-boyfriend, Beast dude. He wasn't in Beast outfit, and when he did, he looked terrible. Like, I don't know what went wrong with the makeup department here, but it looked bad.
It did kind of look a little. It looked a little goofy in this movie. Now, I like Nick Holt. I think he's a.
I like him. I like him.
He's an up and comer. I've since watched a couple of different movies with him in it. Zombie movie where he falls in love that I completely like.
I really like
Warm Bodies. Great movie.
It's a great twist. It's a great twist.
It was a brilliant movie.
Juliet. I really digged it. It was like anybody's like, oh, it's like Twilight Zombies. Like, no, fuck you, dude. This movie has a lot of heart and a lot of charm.
But this kid is set up for life. I mean, even his part in Fury Road recently.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah. Witness him. Witness him.
Yes. Witness me. Beast is probably in the high 50s on my list of all-time favorite X-Men characters. They murdered it with Kelsey Grammer. I thought that was a terrible casting choice.
I thought he did pretty good.
In X-Men Last Stand.
What?
Maybe it was the makeup, or maybe it's just because every time I see Kelsey Grammer, I can't think. It's
Dr.
Fraser Crane. I'm listening.
Scrambled eggs, right?
But if Nick Holt was supposed to be there to be her Jiminy Cricket or her foil, just because she didn't seem 100% committed to the movie, I think that was something that just kind of got missed. Now, he was great in Days of Future Past. Loved him in Days of Future Past.
It's like, clearly one, I know it's not going to happen, but it's like now 20 years since First Class. But it's only been like, what, 4 years since First Class came out? I think they should have switched actors just because the man is not... the man's aging perfectly. He's great, you know, he's... I'm not going to lie, I got a little man crush on him. What up?
He's a good looking dude.
Like, he's now 20 years older than he was in First Class. We're now coming up on closer to where he should be, Kelsey Grammer, and he doesn't look it. And I'm like, I mean, if he was Wolverine, we'd be okay because he hasn't aged, you know. But it's
right. So speaking of Wolverine,
this is another.
We're gonna come to my next kind of eye roll moment in this movie.
I thought you would love this. I really did. I honestly...
I knew they were going to squeeze Jackman in there somehow. I make no bones about it. Wolverine is my least favorite character of all time. I think he's overrated. Yes, he's like the symbol of the X-Men because all the fanboys have glommed onto him.
That's when I started hating him. It was like, I liked him because he wasn't the main character. And then they made him the main character. And I went, I'm out. He's not what I like anymore.
Yep.
But I will say this about this scene. I liked it, except for it had no point in this movie. It was...
Except to introduce him to Jean Grey for the first time. And to have her...
That's what I was going to say. I really liked that she fucked with his brain to give him, like, I found something he could hold on to, a piece of humanity. And I'm like, that explains why he'd be so instantly attracted to her and can't get her out of her. And I liked that a lot. On top of that, it was the closest thing we'll ever get to a Weapon X breakout scene. I just wish we had the full dome. Other than that, I liked it, but it had no fucking point in this movie and could have been just gone.
It was to remind people that Hugh Jackman is Wolverine, and there's going to be a third one of those crappy movies.
Unless Ryan Reynolds shows up as Deadpool, and then we'll be okay.
Oh, please.
But it looks like they're just doing Old Man Logan, which could be really good, except they already kind of did Old Man Logan in the first 30 minutes of The Wolverine.
Which was the most...
We're not talking about that movie, though.
No. Don't get me started on The Wolverine. Please. If I need to fall asleep, I'm going to put on Golf or The Wolverine.
Oh, no, I'm just
kidding. Prometheus,
never mind. So this scene was really kind of cool in the sense that, you know, we got this closest thing to push it over to an R rating as Wolverine just started murdering bitches left and right, and it was really cool. And then you realize that Singer can't really still direct action scenes, so it was kind of a little choppy and up close. But it kind of worked for this, like, caged monster look. It just, again, at the end of the day, no point in being here. That's frustrating.
Right. Well, and that's kind of another character that they hinted at in Days of Future Past, used really well in Days of Future Past, had an awesome scene in Days of Future Past, and then basically what they did was rehash his scene from Days of Future Past. Was Quicksilver.
Yes. Okay. Everyone was like, "It's okay," but the Quicksilver scene was awesome, and I was like, when I got to it, I was like, "This is the same fucking thing." This is not this is on par with Days of Future Past, except I've already seen this. Nothing different here. You didn't up it in any way. It was pointless.
And they didn't move his character any further than he had been before. Except, you know, they have him know who his father is, and they have them meet yada 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 for like 2 seconds at the end of the movie. But again, that was another storyline that could have been expanded upon that I would have been interested in. Oh, hey, here's my dad, and he's trying to destroy the world. How am I
going to stop him?
Because he gets Mystique close to him at the end, And instead of it being about, hey, father son, it was more about half
Yeah, it was
lukewarm.
like, we all have a family that we're trying to protect. You still have family, Eric. And what about
Mm-hmm.
you? Instead of, I'm your bastard. I'm
your
Jon
bastard
Snow.
son.
They don't do that. And then I'm just like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yep.
this kind of frustrates me in the way that I remember that I heard that the dude who played Stryker was actually supposed to be the Juggernaut in Days of Future Past.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, how cool would that have been to have the Juggernaut scene, and you could have saved Quicksilver for this movie, and also we could have still probably had Quicksilver in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because they killed him off for that. I hate company politics. I fucking hate him. Sorry. Back on point. It didn't do anything. It used a great song again. I mean, fucking love Sweet Dreams. Or
Great
as I
song.
called it growing up, the cow song.
Great song.
Because
The cow
there were
song.
cows in the music video, and that's what my little brain latched onto. But
Thank you, Annie and
guys are
Dave.
awesome. It didn't do anything. It didn't excel anything. And then they're like, oh, don't worry, he's gonna be in the rest of the movie. Except then his fight scene with with Apocalypse was kind of bad. He just punches him, and I'm like, dude, you're fast enough to go up there and snap his neck 1,000,000 times. This is Apocalypse. You're not trying to, win him over by defeating him. You're trying to kill this bastard. So it was just like, okay. He breaks his leg, and now he's out of commission. He's not used. Get him out if you're not going to use him.
Which brings me to the obvious elephant in the room, Oscar Isaac. Apocalypse. I remember getting goosebumps at the end of Days of Future Past with that teaser scene. I was like, yep, they're gonna go there. And I remember when the first X-Men movie came out 16 years ago.
God, we're getting old.
My brother and I, who grew up on the X-Men comic book, played with the toys. When that movie came out, he's like, do you think they're going to do Apocalypse? And I said, I think it's too... Yep. All right, anyway. What was I saying? Oscar Isaac, Apocalypse.
You said that you thought it was too far-fetched for...
Well, I thought, how are they going to tackle this all-powerful being in the universe that they've set up, which tries to maintain a modicum of normality? I thought that them delving into his origin was kind of cool. How he's this kind of body-hopping,
like
psyche-hopping...
He grabs people with powers as he goes, and that's kind of cool,
Yep. He's kind of like the Sylar.
God damn it. God damn you, Sylar.
God damn it, Sylar. He picks up people's powers as he goes through, because I don't think the comic book has ever really outright said, other than being immortal and super
and can
strong,
grow size.
And can grow size, which they handled in a very interesting way, I might add. I bet you did. I thought it was kind of clever, but
clever, but at
meh.
the same time, it was meh.
Okay. I loved Oscar Isaac in Force Awakens. I was like, I've never seen this guy before. He's got chutzpah. He's got
Have you
charisma.
seen Ex Machina? Do
I
it.
have not.
He is amazing in that.
And I think, unfortunately, what happened in this movie is because of the prosthetics and because of the way he chose to play him, it was sort of...
He reminded me more of a performance I would expect out of a Mr. Sinister. I know it's not like what everybody thinks of Sinister, but I always enjoy this very cool, calm, collected Sinister. Where it's like, look at me, I look like Tim Curry in a bad Drag Night, but I control the room with a whisper. And that's what he played it as. And I was like, and even some part of his costume, I was like, he should be Sinister. He's not Apocalypse. And he had a little problem. He had the Michael Keaton problem as Batman. And you could see it briefly in the Auschwitz scene where he tries to kneel down and you realize he can't move his upper body. And I was like, okay, so you went a little too heavy on this instead of making it functional. and he was just kind of there. I love Oscar Isaacs. Poe Dameron, great character, fantastic. Him in Ex Machina, I don't remember his character's name because it was like Dave or Mike or some shit like that, but commanded every scene he was in, demanded your attention, owned the part. I want to see more of him because he's up and coming, just not this movie.
And I think that was what kind of was missing, because Apocalypse is this huge megalomaniacal, presence 10 character. He's supposed to just suck the oxygen out of the room every time he walks in. And I feel like we got like a softer version of that.
Bitch version, all right? It's like he's like one part mustache twirling bad guy, 2 parts like in not the character sense, but in the term juggernaut. Like, I am here, look at me, and I can crush you like a bug anytime I want.
Right.
And
then they kind of left it ambiguous as to whether or not he was actually controlling the minds of his horsemen. Because anytime he made a horseman, like take Archangel for example, he would completely erase who they were and create a new persona. But did he do that to Betsy and Eric and Aurora? I don't know. Why were they following him?
Not to mention, did he just literally come across the first 4 mutants he saw and goes, "You're it. You're in the club." What?
Well, which is why, like, when he goes to pick up Psylocke,
makes no sense.
I was like, oh, she's going to tell him she's telepathic, yada, yada, yada. They had Caliban there.
Nope.
She can track mutants, and they left it at that.
Mutants and makes a laser sword. We're good. You're hired. What?
Because why wouldn't Apocalypse try to steal her telepathy? No, did they not mention her telepathy because of Charles Xavier, and he wanted Xavier's telepathy?
I still don't understand how he, Xavier was tripping in his brain that he managed to hotwire and steal his brain to use Cerebro, yet I can't get into people's brains. Wait, what? God, no. Just, not to mention...
I thought, again, it was another idea that never got executed properly.
Not to mention, if he wanted to just destroy the whole world, why didn't he just set off all the nukes, and then have the fallout, and then the strongest will survive, because you're fucking Apocalypse.
Mm-hmm. Because they had to play Beethoven's 7th Symphony in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Which, one of my favorite pieces of music, but this is going off on a different tangent.
That was not the time for that. So
no. Okay. So, great actor. Honestly, I don't think in this particular movie it would have mattered who they put under all that rubber. I mean, they could have had they could have had Seth Rogen under there for all I cared with the way they wrote him. It didn't matter who played him.
Other than if it was, I'm blanking on his name, so I'm looking it up right now. Oh, God. Terry Crews. If Terry Crews was under there, he would have hammed it up, and it would have been perfect.
Yep. Now, I don't know. Maybe if they had picked somebody a little bit older, it would have given the gravity it needed. I don't know. We could pick it apart for hours. Part of the story is Apocalypse is this huge, grandiose villain. They named the movie after him, but I don't feel like he was the focal point of the movie at all. So there's that. I also hate what they've done with Moira McTaggart. Yes. I hate the way they've written that character. I hate that they've stripped everything that's made Moira Moira in the comic books. She was, first of all, from Scotland. Huge part of it. She was in the Scots Guard. She is a gun-toting mama, but she is also a brilliant biogeneticist on level with Nathaniel Essex.
Ooh, who's that, you might say? It's not like...
Oh, we're going to get to that in a minute.
Talk about him.
Oh, we'll get to that in a minute. But the fact that they kind of turned her into this bimbo, female-empowered, go feminism, FBI agent, She was another person that I felt was just kind of tacked into this
Yeah.
movie unnecessarily. Well, we had to give her memory back so she could remember who Charles and the mutants were. Whoop-de shit. They could have skipped out on her completely, which really bums me out because as far as non-mutant characters go in the X-Men canon, Moira McTaggart is a huge character.
Yeah.
Huge. And most people are just kind of like, who is this? Now, if they get into some of, like, they're talking about how the next installment is going to be the 90s X-Men. So are they going to talk about the legacy virus? Are they going to talk about the extinction agenda? Are they going to talk about,
what are they gonna
all of
cover,
these things? I don't know.
Are we going to get real edgy and bring,
I don't know.
Marrow in? I went there. Sorry.
You see my face? Or skin?
Or maggot?
Or husk?
We're
Yeah. Best.
not going to go there.
Cannonball?
Oh, come on.
Or how about Cypher?
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I love how Archer calls him the worst X-Man ever.
It's true.
Way to be relevant there, H.
Yeah.
John Benjamin. Okay, so back to the high points that I really
you get all my
enjoyed.
negative points, so.
And I agreed with them, but I still enjoyed the movie.
You can see why I was frustrated at the movie.
I can appreciate
Damn
that.
it, this is not what I wanted.
I'm sorry. I'm sure we'll find something to
don't.
argue about.
Yeah.
I'm just too easy. Let's talk about one of my all-time favorite characters ever, aside from Storm. Jean Grey.
I actually didn't like her.
Miss Sophie Turner. All right, you go ahead.
It seems like they're setting up everything that they did wrong with Jean in the original trilogy all over again. But I like her. I like Sophie Turner. I think she could do great. But, I mean, you'll know better than anybody else. You remember when Jean Grey was, like, the girl to be in high school? Like, super popular. Like, nobody thought she was a weirdo. And she didn't have a carry problem that was called the Phoenix. And they're doing it all over again instead of learning from their mistakes.
And here's the point that I want to touch on. So they hint again, and again, this was another part of that movie where I got a bit of a nerd boner. At that final battle, they have the fire going, they have the full-on Phoenix shtick going on. So, I remember in, I think it was the late 90s, early 2000s, they had it wasn't the Ultimate X-Men, it was something else, where they kind of hinted that Jean Grey has always been the Phoenix. She always had the capacity for this power. Sure, it was some cosmic
It was like
super...
she was predestined to get it kind of thing.
Like she was predestined to get it. So is that what they're going to go for? If they do, I mean, they can't ignore it. They've set it up. If they don't acknowledge it...
It's going to be frustrating.
Somehow, in the next two movies... Well, the fanboys are going to riot. Because they murdered it in X-Men The Last Stand. They slaughtered it. And so I can see why Bryan Singer was like, okay, I have to set this up again. And so he hints at the fact that she has this incredible well of untapped power. So where are they going to go with it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
To me, it was like they weren't learning from the problems from The Last Stand. And I was like, all right, if you're going to do this again, stop making her like, oh, she's a weirdo. Oh, don't remake Carrie in my X-Men movie. Like, don't do that, you know? And it's like, all right, if you're going to give her the Phoenix power, be it her tapping into like, oh, let go, Jean, and like the Phoenix kind of spotted her. And like, oh, yes, you can use some of my power, see if you're worthy, and you killed Apocalypse. I'll see you in 10 years. And that'd be cool, like you said. It looks like they're not learning, and it was frustrating. I'm like, don't don't misuse Miss Turner, because she'll go back to Game of Thrones and she'll get killed, because George R. R. Martin is a cruel god.
I feel like if they had, instead of doing X-Men Apocalypse, if they had done a movie about these teenagers who are suddenly thrown together, and take that idea with Magneto at the beginning becoming a nihilist, and having them deal with him instead of convoluting the whole thing with Apocalypse and the Four Horsemen, I would have been more interested to follow Scott, Jean, Jubilee, and Nightcrawler around as they try to figure out what the fuck to do about the fact that Magneto's blowing shit up.
Also added this really cool point where Havoc getting murdered by Magneto. Like, or like, you know, something alluding to that where he just throws him, or like, you know, he covers him in metal and throws him, and he goes, "I'm not putting up with this," and like Scott going, "What?" You know, kind of thing, where it's just like, no, and like it'd be a great arc, and like have Jean try to comfort him because like, you're my friend, we're new, we need to be a team. You're the leader. We need you because you make the calls. Where's that movie? That movie would have been great to see.
That movie would have been great to see. It could have been a good illusion, foreshadowing to, you know, an original X Factor movie.
And then, like, you could have had the whole idea of like, oh, we're gonna try to convince Psylocke that she should work with us and like not go out and just try to take Magneto on by herself.
I thought it was kind of bullshit that she just kind of slunk away.
Shit.
Like, she kind of looked up and went, well, we're not winning. Deuces, bitches.
Ain't here for this shit. I turned down the role in Deadpool for this.
More better for Miranda Baccarin.
Because she
who nailed that part.
Great. Killed it.
Killed it! Let me think. What else? All right, so let's cut to the spoiler scene at the end.
Oh, the very, very end? Oh,
yeah. The after credits. The after credits.
The mop up, the worst day crew ever mopping up the Project Weapon X. Just going.
Well,
dude walks in, grabs a vial of Wolverine's blood, and on the suitcase
puts it into a case. Essex Industries.
Which means we're gearing into Sinister.
Mr. Sinister. Which raises a whole nother ball of concerns. Because Sinister basically spends the first part of his career being obsessed with making the perfect mutant. Jean Grey, Cyclops, he has deemed as like the paradigm of mutant kind and wants to interbreed them. But as we all know, Jean Grey dies. And so he clones her. We have all these guys on the internet right now clamoring for Cable to be in a movie. And apparently Deadpool 2 is going to cover that. So, Cable is the biological son of Jean Grey's clone and Cyclops.
We could.
How are they going to address that? How are they going to talk about Strife? How are they going to do anything related to Mr. Sinister without...
Not to mention, like, one of the big problems with Sinister, not really with Sinister, but with his henchmen, is they're all really D-classed villains. You know, we're not going to get them, because why would they? You know? And that's kind of weird.
Riptide, Vertigo, Skullcrusher.
You know, I think it's like they're nothing special. I mean, like, a Vertigo scene would be really cool, if not a little sickening for the audience to watch. But, like, we're probably not going to get them, so why are we doing Sinister? Just because we clicked off the Sentinels, we, you know, put a check mark through Apocalypse. What's next? Sinister. Okay, we'll do Sinister.
Sinister, okay. And we're transitioning into the 90s. And Sinister was huge in the 90s.
Which I enjoy, but again, I don't know what they're going to do with them.
Well, because a lot of his storylines revolve around really complicated backstory. really deeply complicated backstory. I admit, I got excited when I saw that, and then the afterthoughts started to pile in, like we're talking about now. I was like, okay, yeah, they're gonna do Sinister, cool.
How? Yeah.
How?
How? I mean, I'm excited that Bryan Cranston says he wants to play him.
I think that would be amazing.
Great. I'd actually would like a scene of him not being Mr. Sinister, and like maybe throughout the movie show him genetically splicing himself into where he becomes, you know, the walking version of my nightmare. That would be cool. That'd be cool if like if they do maybe something like the legacy virus that they tie it in there, that he creates it. Did he create it? No, he didn't. Did he create it? No, but like that'd be an all right plot line to merge into it. Like he creates a legacy virus because he wants to control the mutant genes. It's like, I want to thin the herd to get the perfects to farm them and create the perfect mutant. I think that'd be okay.
So my feeling on this third installment of the reboot of the X-Men franchise, that started with First Class, is that this was kind of a movie that was intended to reinforce the groundwork they laid in Future Past for cleansing our palates from the damage that Ratner did in Last Stand. Because now we're back in a universe where all these characters are alive again, and we know that they survive into the future. So they were just kind of trying to, and then they had to find a way to shoehorn Nightcrawler, Jean Grey, Cyclops, and Angel back into the story. So, as an installment to further the idea of the groundwork laid, I enjoyed it. I thought it was an entertaining 2.5 hours. There were high points, there were low points, there were things I wish they would have done. But without getting, overly internet nerd nitpicky about it, I enjoyed it. I had fun. I thought it was a decent movie, and I wish I would have gone to see it again. But I see the concerns that you raise, and I agree with most of them.
My problem with this is that they set up too many cool ideas that then just get washed away. Too many, I guess you would call them main characters, are just underused. And what people took away from it are these two scenes, mainly Weapon X and Quicksilver, were both not necessary, because you did one already in the past movie, and it was cool to see a Weapon X breakout, but you could have literally deleted that 20 minutes of this movie to further develop, say, I don't know, the Horsemen, to improve the movie you have.
Right.
That's my concern. It's like I wanted more of certain scenes, I wanted more of certain characters, I wanted less of certain characters, I wanted a more commanding villain. I wish there was just there was a better movie in there somewhere and it got lost.
I wish there was like a director's cut or something. Like a half an hour of extra movie that kind of delved into some of those things.
Because, I mean, again, with the one scene of Magneto going to kill all of his coworkers, it was cut off with Apocalypse showing up, so we didn't even get that scene. And I was like, he's like, I will kill all these people. Don't try to stop me. And Apocalypse goes, fuck your shit. And you're just like, gone. Why did you take that away from him? Why? Because it's like this whole trilogy has been like, Magneto's kind of a good guy, and I'm like, give me Magneto being a bad guy, please. Not
well, because
not
they need to set up
quarter, like a third act bad guy, but a fourth quarter bad guy, I guess you'd call it.
We get it. There's a Charles Eric bromance that has always been there.
Yeah.
But I don't think in these past 3 movies, I don't think they've developed his idea of, okay, maybe in Days of Future Past they did. I take that back. Where you saw his clear hatred of humankind. And you saw his decision that in order for mutants to survive, they have to become the superior race. But again, I don't think it was explored enough in any of the 3 movies.
I would say we actually saw it better in First Class, with the line of him killing Kevin Bacon. It's like, I totally agree with everything you're saying, but I don't care. And you're just like,
Yeah.
great. And then you see Days of Future Past, and he kind of goes like, oh, he has to help out. And then all of a sudden his motivation to start turning evil just wasn't well portrayed in that. And in this one, we got a good reason for him to go fuck everyone. And then it gets cut short.
And it was kind of lukewarm.
Short into this, well, we need you to change the magnetic poles of the Earth. And I'm like, why?
Yep.
You know? Just why? So one person who liked it, one person who thought it was okay, but both pretty much the same points of view. So why don't you watch it and leave a comment below? Like the video. Hey, Eric. Will we see you again?
Yes, Bill. I think you might. Because there were a couple of important anniversaries of things that we're both pretty big fans of, and not to give too much away, but we might be talking about a certain movie
with our late king.
By the way, I know we're not talking about it yet, but there is a new special feature on this version of the DVD where it's entitled "Remembering the Goblin King."
Oh God, that's gonna be hurtful. I told you I don't have the only version I have is the triple pack. The Dark Crystal and Mirror Mask, and that's like a highlight of my collection. All right,
Mirror Mask was awesome.
But that's for another time. We'll probably talk about it in the podcast.
That's for another time.
For the Apocalypse review. Stay tuned for many things, and we'll see Eric soon. Hopefully, this is your warning, Hollywood. Nobody die in the next couple weeks, or Eric will just. I don't know what will happen.
It'll be tragic.
It will be. Okay.
Oy.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Music.